In this movie we're going to go over the Vista dictionaries, or the mapping for input, output from either disk or tape. You can see the top menu, we've got dictionary, and we can view the project dictionaries. The master dictionary just contains all types of Vista headers, or Vista header words as such. It's not used, you can pull values out of this. The Vista header is defined for a particular project, and what this is simply that Vista maintains its headers separate from the physical disk file coming in or from tape. So it has its own set, and by doing that, of which is configurable by the user, by doing that, certain things such as we can look in here, offsets or floating point, elevations, depths of shot, other things such as, let's go down here, midpoints, bin information. So there's a lot more headers than you would normally get in a seg-y. Stuff related to data calculations, velocities, first break picking. We've got stuff related to statics, floating datum, fixed datum, surface to fix. So all of the statics are handled in here. We've got user words. As we're looking in here, we can see also a couple things which we'll go over. Is if there's a box such as this, that means it's actually doing something. It's doing some type of calculation on that Vista header word. And then we can see in this case, it's absolute offset. It doesn't occupy any space in the Vista header. It's actually assigned from the offset and has an absolute value. This means that you can add header words that actually don't occupy any space in the header word, but might be doing some type of manipulation. And I'll show a bit of that later. Another example is theoretical first break. This is actually defined as taking the defined linear move out picked in the project and using the offset to come up with the theoretical first break. Other types of input, so this is a way to just generally look at but not edit. We've got the standard input, the Vista tape seg-y, revision 1, we've got Surcell 408, 428 output, and the seg-y. Let's have a look at the dictionary and how you would edit it. If we look at the input transfer, we've got a number of different tools here. So we've got our Vista headers as such, and what you're going to do is come in from an input disk file, a seg-y, and you're going to map to a Vista header. Now what you're doing is you're mapping from some point in the header. So if you look at the seg-y, you're mapping trace sequence number from byte position 1, and it's long. If you see an X position here, what we're doing is we don't need a byte location coming from the input seg-y or disk file or seg-d, because there's some operation taking place. Or another thing that you can do in here, there are some other tutorials on this, but there's a lot of flexibility in allowing us to define conditions for bringing in header information. In this case, the depth scaler, we're checking to see if it's less than 0. If it is, we're taking the current value, taking the absolute. So this is a way to define the coordinate scalar value. We can also apply that same thing to the coordinates. So this header dictionary allows us to do a number of different things. We can also just do stuff like assign a constant to a value coming in. In here we can actually do a copy if we want to copy a selected dictionary. So we can come in here and clicking on this will copy that particular dictionary. We could create a brand new dictionary. If you want a text view of a dictionary, this allows us to just output it as a text file or print it off if you need that information. So these dictionaries are used in various points of Vista. Number one being when we're inputting a seg-y, either disk in a flow or when we're inputting from tape. It allows us to define how that mapping is going to be. If we look at the output dictionary, in this we are mapping from a particular Vista header into a location in the disk file. So in here, again, what you've got is trace sequence number mapping into a byte position. So again, we can do something like multiply by a constant or some value going out. Again, because what we've got is something that's a floating point going into a long, we want to take that into account as well. As I mentioned before, let's have a quick look at editing the Vista header. What we can do, flexibility of Vista is we can add in a new header word there. It actually occupies no space and makes use of some other header words. We'll just add this in here. What we're going to do is we're going to set a condition, first break. If it's not equal to the -1, which is an invalid pick, then what we're going to do is assign it to the first break, and we're going to subtract theoretical first break from that. Else we'll just set it to a constant of -1, which is a non-pick, and there. So this could be our first break minus theoretical. So this actually is occupying no space there, and we can save that to a project. So now if we look at the header, we can see we've got a first break, theoretical, and then it's subtracted, so we can see the difference in there. Let me just display that in not combined but separately. So we've got a first break, theoretical first break, and then this new one is, which is actually a subtraction of that first break and theoretical. That's an interesting way to do a QC. Now we could use this to do other things related to data, to other calculations in Vista, but that's just a quick showing of how to make use of Vista headers.